Taught Dirty to Me by Poison as one of the most fun solos in all of hair metal history, and it's also a great one to learn if you're looking to get your feet wet into playing this style. Let's check it out. Hey there kids, and welcome to a very special hair metal spectacular episode of Week in Wankshop. Here's your best buddy, Uncle Ben. Some of you guys might already know, but I play guitar alongside my main man, Andy Wood, in an 80s hair metal cover band called SKANKBANGER. I'll put our Instagram address on the screen right now. And one of my favorite songs to play is definitely Taught Dirty to Me by Poison. It's really stupid and fun to play, and it's got a great little guitar solo in there that actually does a really good job of outlining the chord changes that are going on behind it. It's also pretty easy to play, and it'll get you chicks. Before we start getting into it, let's hear it again at stepdad speed. And as always, for a full tab, you can visit my Instagram page over at Ben Eller Guitars. Be sure to give me a follow, find the tab for this week's lesson, then learn how to play it, and upload a video of yourself shredding through it along with the hashtag WeekendWankshop. Okay, first of all, this is tuned down a half step on the record. So before we begin, be sure to tune every string on your guitar down one note flat. Okay, so the first thing that you hear in the solo is a big old slide down the low strings, followed by these double stops on the G and B strings. Now this solo is in the key of G, and it starts off on the C chord. And basically what's going on here is he's not just playing random stuff in the G scale. He's specifically choosing to start on certain notes that reflect the chords that he's playing over. In this case, what he's going to do is to start by playing the 5 on the G and the 5 on the B. That's going to be your root and your third of that C power chord that he's playing over. Kind of slide into him here. I'm going to use these two fingers, get the Spider-Man position here. I'm going to slide into the 5th fret G and B. Give that a down strum and an up strum. After that, what you're going to do is to play the 4 on the G and 3 on the B. And then next what you're going to do is to move down to being on the 2 on the G and the 1 on the B. You're just going to strike those once and pull off to the open position. So far we've done this. After that, he strums again on those 2 strings, but it sounds like he mostly just catches the G string. I don't think it's super deliberate that he just hit the G right there, but it's what it kind of sounds like. It sounds like he just mainly got the G string there. And then do the same thing again. After this, the chord changes to a G, and he plays more double stops there on the G and B strings to reflect that kind of tonality. Starting off with the 12th fret G and 12th fret B. That'd be your root and third of a G like that. So again, that's why I chose those notes. So what he's going to do here is he's going to strum down these double stops on these 2 strings. And I'll talk about the specifics of that in a little while here. But basically what you're going to do is to start off on 12 and 12 on G and B. Give that a down and an up strum. Then move down to 11 and 10. Notice my fingering change. Take it down to 9 and 8. 7 and 7. 5 and 5. 4 and 3. And then when you get down here to 2 and 1, you're going to do like what you did before, where you strum it once and then pull it off, and then strum the open strings, but with the emphasis really being on the G. Now, on some people's transcriptions of that lick, I see them use very deliberate, like that, you know, like he's picking just the G, then just the B, and so on like that. I don't think that's exactly what's going on, especially if you watch live videos of him playing this. You'll see him just kind of strumming the 2 strings like that. And I think what we hear, especially on the 7s and 5s and the 4 and 3 position right there, it sounds kind of like, you know, like he really is kind of grabbing those 2 strings separately like that. I think that's just a result of him strumming it and kind of tagging the G string harder on the down strum and the B string harder on the up strum. So I don't think he's actually alternating those 2. After that, the power chord in the back changes back to C, and you just play that same first set of double stops that we began with. 2 times in a row like that. After this, the chord changes to a D, and he plays more double stops on the G and B strings, again, to reflect that kind of tonality, which is cool. Now, he's going to be starting off on the 7 and 7 on the G and B strings. Again, that is the root and 3rd of that D you're playing over at that time. Now, these double stops right here, he kind of quickly tremolo sort of strums them as fast as he can. So what I recommend doing here is using the kind of base of your palm here to mute out your low strings on the guitar, because if you're not careful, it'll make a lot of noise whenever you're doing this kind of stuff. So I like to kind of really rest on those low strings and just hold my pick and wrist really loosely while I quickly kind of flick through those double stop positions. Here's the positions themselves. Starting off on 7 and 7. What you're going to do is kind of slide into 9 and 8. Then slide into 11 and 10. Then slide into 12 and 12. Here's how it sounds with the tremolo kind of strumming on there. Again, it's going to be kind of random whenever you do that. Sometimes you'll be hitting mainly the G, sometimes it's mainly the B. Just be sure to stay really loose, holding that pick and keeping your wrist really loose. I always tell people it's kind of like putting out a match, you know what I mean? Stay really loose with that wrist. After this, we reach our modified Chuck Berry licks that he plays here in the 8th position. Again, this is over the C chord again, but he's playing kind of C minor pentatonic, which is why that part of the solo gets kind of suddenly bluesy. It doesn't really sound major anymore, it sounds kind of minor over that point because of what he's playing. Now again, this is another lick that's kind of up for debate because I see some people insist that he does it very like articulately and like Chuck Berry style, you know? Like that. I don't really think that's what's up. If you watch live videos and listen closely to the record, you'll see his picking hand is just kind of loosely strumming at those top 2 strings. So that means sometimes you're going to be hearing more E, sometimes you're going to be hearing more B. It's way looser than I think people think that it is. So to start with, take your first finger here and bar your high E string and B string on fret number 8. It's just going to stay there for the duration of this lick. And what you're going to do to start with here is to grab the 10th fret on the G string and play that note and give it a whole step bend. After this, what you're going to do is using an upstroke, tag your top strings. Just one time this time, the first time. It sounds like this first time through he mainly tags the high E string. I don't hear a whole lot of B the very first time that he does it. But then all the subsequent times through, what you're going to do is to actually hit those top strings 2 times. So again, the first time it's just once, but then the next 4 times. What you're going to do here is to kind of alternate strum 2 strums each on those double stops. So let me do it again kind of slowly here. So the first time through is just once, then the next 4 times it's 2 strums. And the very last time through, what you'll hear him do is to do that 10th fret G string bend, and then he actually hits an open high E right there. That's just to give him time to get down here for the next section of the solo. So you've got the single strum, the 4 double strums, and then the last one is kind of the random one of the bunch. So to get the right sound out of this lick, what you're going to want to do here is to alternate strum / pick with your right hand. Again, it's not like all downstrokes or anything like that. What he's doing is basically going down, up, 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 down, up. That's why sometimes it sounds like he's hitting the E more and sometimes it sounds like he's hitting the B more. It's because sometimes those strums are down, up, and then every other time they're going to be up, down. Again, it's really loose, really sloppy kind of feeling, but that's what makes it sound so cool. And then you get to this lick, which always cracks me up. It's really simple to play. What you're going to do here is on the high E string, play 3, pulling to 2, pulling to open. Do the same thing on the B. 3, pulling to 2, pulling to open. Then you're going to go to the G here and play 4, pulling to 2, pulling to open. And then do the same thing on the D. 4, pulling to 2, pulling to open. So you're only picking the first note on those strings, and the rest is just pull-offs. Next, what you're going to do is backtrack to the G here. You're going to play 4, pulling to 2, pulling to open. Same thing on the D. And then on the bottom 2 strings here, you're going to play 3, pull to 2, pull to open. Same thing on the low E. So the whole lick is going to be like this. Now again, continuing his theme of simple note targeting through the solo here, this next part that kind of climbs up the D string takes place over an A to D kind of change. And what he does here is to start off on the 7th fret D string. That's an A note, the root note of the A chord he's playing over at that time. What you're going to do is to pick all these notes 2 times. You're going to play the 7 on the D, the 9 on the D, the 10, and the 11. Now when he lands on the 12 here on the D string, he just picks it 1 time, and that's right when the chord changes to a D. So he landed right on the root note of that chord. Again, it's simple stuff, but that's what makes this thing so memorable and singable and catchy, is because he's outlining those chords and stuff so well. So one more time, this lick will sound like this. Really simple. You'll notice I'm using my first finger the entire way up there. That's because next I got to do a bend, so I need my ring finger free. You might be tempted to go like this, but then your ring finger has to dart over to here. So I just use my first finger to climb up that string. Last part of the solo right here, what you're going to do is to grab your 14th fret G string with your ring finger. This is right when the chord goes to G, and essentially what he's doing here is he's bending up to the 3rd of that chord. Again, it's just chord tones, cool stuff. You're going to hit that 14th fret G string, bend it up a whole step, then let it down. After this, play the 12 on the G. Then you're going to do that bend again, so 14 up a whole step, letting down, and then hit the 12 on the G 2 times. So now we have this. You can push it up like I just did, or you can pull it down. It doesn't really matter either way. After this, he's got this thing that kind of outlines a G5 kind of chord. You're going to play the 15 on the high E string 3 times. You're going to play the 15 on the B 3 times. 12 on the G 3 times. 12 on the D 3 times. And then 10 on the A 3 times. So now you got... And that is the entire solo, spandex and aquanet not included. So let's go through it again here from the top. Starting off with the double stops over the C chord. Going up top here for all the big descending double stops. Back to your first set. Then your double stops over D, starting on its root and 3rd. Kind of tremolo strum. Chuck Berry. And don't forget that open E right there. Climbing up the D, that's what she said. And your bends. Like I said, there's not really a ton to that solo. It's not nearly as hard to play as some of those other, hair-tastic solos from back in the day like that. But it just does such a good job of outlining those chords and targeting their notes and so on. So there's still a lot to learn from it. Thank you guys as always for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more new lessons every week. You guys can also follow my Facebook fan page over on facebook.com/UncleBenEller. You guys can follow me on Instagram @BenEllerGuitars, and if you're interested in booking some one-on-one Skype lessons with me, be sure to drop me an email, benellerguitars@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks again for watching, cheers, and stay tuned for another lesson next week.